Hello everyone, welcome to the Sacred Rainbow Warrior. I am back in sunny Bournemouth. Look at that, how beautiful is that? Bournemouth, home to a lot of spiritual guides actually. Amanda Ellis, Magenta Pixie, and where is it? Over there we've got the Isle of Wight, which is where David Icke is, and not so far from here is Pam Gregory. So there's definitely something about Bournemouth, Dorset. I mean, if you look at it from a map, the coastline, it looks like a chalice. Looks like a chalice that holds the water, and they have baths here, which means it was essentially a place where people came to bathe, like a holy place. And if you go down there to Hengstbury Head, it's a historical site where they did trading with ships, you know, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. I think it's an Iron Age site. Yeah. So lots of history here. Today I wanted to talk about a ginormous shortcut to Ascension, following the will of God. Now, if you follow my channel, you know that I am not religious, but I am starting to understand what true religion is. True religion is self-belief, and this is what happened with Jesus. He found his own true belief and he mirrored that to others, and so people followed him rather than following themselves. This is the distortion of dogma. When they see someone outside of themselves achieve enlightenment, they want that enlightenment, and so they listen to that person, which is great. They learn from that person, but it's also an inward journey. It's an inward journey. And I was just listening to the Joe Rogan podcast with, I haven't listened to it in years, absolute years, but I was listening to Elon Musk, and he said some real hard truths about what's going on in the world. But I really, when I listen to these guys who, they have so much power, I really find it difficult to listen to when they talk about punishing people and their understanding of behaviour and how everything works. And the way I do it, if I use the 3 lines of consciousness, I spoke about this many times. The first line of consciousness is me, 2 is me and my partner, and 3 is the collective or my family. And if I work on the first line, if I realised I am God, because we're all God, right? We're all a piece of God. Instead of seeing that God is something outside of us, that is a person, instead of realising that we are, that God is infinite because it's love, but because we are a piece of God, right? And so if nobody believes they are God, that means nobody is taking responsibility for everything, right? So I've said this before, right? And I've had this conversation with God and myself and my guides, is that the greatest understanding I have of enlightenment is realizing that if I'm God, what would God do? And it works in every situation. What would God do? Well, God would take responsibility for it, and he would be like, well, this is partly my mess. This is my mess. So, you know, I'll see where my involvement is in this, and I will see how I can help others and help myself through this. Because if we start judging God to be not human, then we're kind of missing the point. And so no matter what you're going through, if you look at it through those eyes of, well, where have I not taken responsibility? You know, like I lost my temper today because somebody said something to me, they were really nasty to me. Okay, but did you have to react in that way? Did you have to react negatively to feed their ego? And that's where you can turn it on yourself again and say, okay, right, okay, I shouldn't have lost my temper. How do I take responsibility? And it's a long journey to get to that level of responsibility and compassion. but it's the answer to everything. Like I along my journey, I was really how do I say, objective to the idea of God. But when I started my spiritual journey, I started to realise that the only reason I had objections against God was because of dogma, because of religion. Because religion tries to tell you that God is a certain thing, that God is a certain way, and these are the set beliefs. Like, I had a comment left on my channel the other day because about the prophecy, the Rainbow Warrior prophecy, and he said, "Is this in the Bible?" And I said, "Well, I hope not." I doubt it. And he said, "Well, if it's not in the Bible, it's not true." I was like, "Oh, right, a fanatic, a religious fanatic, right?" So the Bible was written by men, and so if it's not on Instagram, it's not true. Yeah, that's what one of my guides said once. Said that the Bible's like the equivalent of Instagram 2,000 years ago. So it's fascinating how people want to avoid responsibility, but it's lonely for those that are taking responsibility. The real people who are rising are the ones that are feeling really deeply. They're the ones that are on the edge, rising from the rubble, going through the darkness, because the awakenings that people are talking about, that they've had, you know, they say, "Oh, I've awakened," and then they get on YouTube and they start commoditizing themselves, creating a soul business. But it doesn't stop at one awakening. I've had multiple awakenings, and they're not light awakenings. When you get beyond the light awakenings, they're like, "Wow, you know, oh, I'm so great, I'm amazing." It's because you're not in your body. And so the real awakenings come when you start to come into the darkness and accept your darkness. And those are the really difficult awakenings. Because in order to clear out the darkness, you have to remember it and you have to feel it. And that's some of the stuff that I've had to clean out is, well, it's revolting. It's disgusting. But when they've come in, they've hit me so hard that it's brought me, boom, right into my body, and you can't escape your body then, and that's the whole point. That's what an awakening is to come fully in your body. If you've ever worked with plant medicine, you know that when you take plant medicine, you feel amazing. That's not because you jump out your body, it's because it brings you into your body. That's why people drink alcohol, because it makes you feel relaxed enough to come back into the body. But if you have too much, then you're abusing it, because it is medicine. It's the same with any medicine. If you abuse it, it knocks you out your body because it creates fear, it creates entities. It's like a projection. You don't create them, but you know what I mean. So these levels of awareness and awakening are really coming from the dark. And I've done so many videos about walk-ins and the Earth Star. It's so important, but it's really dangerous as well. I wouldn't recommend doing it on your own. I really wouldn't. It's really dangerous. If you need help, just go on the website www.thesacredrainbowwarrior.com and I can help you. But the idea is to take it slow and to not get attached. Wave, oh my god. To not get attached to. I'm gonna have to move. To not get attached to the 3D life. Oh, I've got responsibilities, I've got bills to pay, I've got to do this today, I've got to do that, I've got kids to feed. I've got 5 kids to feed. It's it goes against logic, because when you awaken into the rainbow body, you unlock multi-dimensionality, which means the thought process disappears and you come fully into your body, access your soul, and all of the things that you thought made sense no longer make sense. Time doesn't make sense. Rushing for appointments doesn't make sense. Making yourself do things when you know you should be resting. You know, when people get ill, that's spirit saying, "Look, you're not listening. Stop." You know, that's what illness shows us. And it's difficult because we've been so programmed and bred more and more every generation deeper into the programming, and none is deeper than this generation. And I'm going through the deprogramming process right now, and it's wow. It's just wow. Like, I'm going, you know, beyond the 7 chakra system. I'm going up to the divine gateway and all the way down to the heart of Mother Earth, and I'm stretching myself up and down, but remaining in the heart. It's super advanced, and I'm telling you this because this is part of my journey, and it's just exciting. It's exciting when it works really well. It's really exciting, and you know, there's some incredible things that are available, and when you receive and understand your heritage. Like, for example, last night I just realised it's St Andrew's Day next Sunday on the 13th of November, and I was like, oh, that's interesting, because I got a message from one of my Scottish guides to pay attention to the Scottish pagan holidays. And so I was like, okay, St Andrew's Day, why is he a saint? Now I looked up and he was he was crucified on an X-shaped cross, and I was like, what did he do this time? What's he done this time? Why are all these saints killed? And so last night I was journeying, and I realised that you can be a saint without dying. It's possible to be a saint without dying. You don't have to die to be a saint. They call him a saint because they freaking killed him off. So the story goes, right, that he wouldn't give up his Christianity for the Romans and accept the Roman gods, right? I don't know how true that is, but there's something there about conforming and compliance to the Roman way, which I know the Scottish fought back against, which is amazing, absolutely amazing, and I'm proud to be Scottish. Big energy flowing through me saying that. And what I found was that he said that he didn't feel worthy enough to be crucified on a cross, the Jesus cross, because Jesus died that way. So he asked to be crucified on an X cross. Now, here's the most profound thing about it, is that X, right? Remember, saints hold that white energy, that white magic. He became that white cross on the Scottish flag. Incredible. Incredible. And the message I got was he was excommunicated, excommunicado, in my journey. So all of that stuff helps me heal and open up the lower soil to create more fertile soil by looking at my ancestry through, how do I say this? Through my heart, yeah, but without any restrictions or boundaries, which is the teaching of Scotland. I did a video about Scotland, it's in my spirit animal list, about what makes Scottish men so strong. And there's this really magical thing about Scotland where they have Hadrian's Wall, which stopped the Romans coming in, excellent, and they have no borders. And then you look at the rest of the world and it's all about borders, you know. I was watching, a few years ago, I loved watching that American TV show Yellowstone, and was it 1883? Yeah, the prequel 1883. Great TV show. Highly recommend it. Really doesn't hold back in exploring how Americans came to be in America, and versus the natives and everything. And they talk about barbed wire like it's this new invention that's come in, and barbed wire is what essentially destroyed large parts of America and the rest of the world. And we just created boundaries and boundaries and boundaries. I own this piece of land, I own that, I own this, I own that. Ownership, commoditization. We don't own anything. We're sovereign. We're what's the word? Somebody who looks after the land. that word. I forget the word. But somebody who protects the land, not an owner of the land. And because you can't own the land, it's not yours. It's a living being. And so when I look at this in my journeys, I take responsibility for it. And when I felt St. Andrew, I clear that pain. So I work with St. Andrew as an archetype, like I would with Jeshua, and I feel that pain that they went through, so that I can stand eye to eye with it. Excuse me. Gosh, big waves. So that I can stand eye to eye with them. This is one of the more advanced paths of ascension that I can describe. Is first you start looking at the book of the archetypes, like the basic four of the shaman, magician, the king, the warrior, and the lover. And then it branches out to 12, and you can look at the Carl Jung archetypes. But when you do this medicine work on this level that I'm doing with Hazel as divine union work, you start to see the ascended masters are their own archetypes, and then it just becomes like wow. And so if you have like a spirit come to you like an archetype, not to guide you, but to guide you, but might just be knocking on your door saying, hi, I'm here. You might just feel them, like my friend who's just started his journey. He's been having Melchizedek come to him for years, and he's only just acknowledged it. And I was like, whoa, that's incredible. And so that person, that spirit, that ascended master, may be coming to you to say, I can help you heal what you're healing because I've been through it. And so if you work through, how do I say this? If you allow that spirit to come in, it can help you heal that if you're willing to feel that level of pain, that level of love as well. The pain is the healing, and it's the love that comes in to heal the pain. And I think I've spoken about this before quite recently, about how when women are not being met by men because men have a more difficult awakening journey. Men are not breaking down as much as they should. The dark night of the soul is supposed to bring you to your knees so that you can see where you've essentially what you've been hiding from. And women aren't prepared, they're not quite ready yet to hold space for men because of the level of narcissism that they hold. It can be very difficult. I'm speaking from experience. This is the problem that Hazel had with me, and I've been extremely devoted to overcoming narcissism, to breaking the chains of narcissism, because it is slavery, and it branches out and causes every kind of distortion you could ever imagine on all three lines of consciousness. And these women that aren't able to meet men who want to look them in the eye and say, okay, yeah, I'll listen to you, I'll learn from you, they're doing so much work on themselves that then they come to this choice point where Jesus comes to them most of the time, and they then turn to religion in most cases, not all cases. The same happened with Hazel, and she understood what it was. And she explained it to me, and it makes perfect sense to me, is that when a woman is doing the work and she doesn't have a man to meet her, to meet that masculine inside her, then Jesus shows up to mirror that which they're looking for in a man, which essentially is love, compassion, purity, unconditional love. And so these are some of the best tips I can tell you about the ascension process, the awakening process. There's light awakenings which are beautiful and full of joy, and there's dark awakenings which are really difficult, and you need support, you need space holding, you need a lot of support. And the trick is to accept it as quickly as possible and go through the grieving process, to taking your time, yes, but to really honour grief as a portal of ascension. It's incredible. And the only way to do that is by taking responsibility, accepting that there is denial, accepting that there is bargaining, that there is anger, there is rage, there is avoidance, all of that, there is narcissism. So God's will is taking responsibility, realising that you are God, and the goddess, Hazel and I are doing a lot of questioning on, like, what is the difference between God and goddess? And there is no separation. I understand that illusion. And the archetypes, wow, you know, like, it's really, really incredible that I can share that I've discovered that. You know, I use it, I work with the animals, I use the animals as archetypes of ascension, but eventually what happens is it gets bigger, and then you need to be working with ascended masters. And it's highly rewarding, because when you do the work, and it's not the thought work, it's complete surrender into your heart. When you do the work, your soul rewards you. So I've had rewards from gods and goddesses and ancestors, but the most incredible reward you can ever get is yourself. It's just incredible. And so when you do the work, your soul goes, okay, you're ready for this now. I'm going to reward you with a piece of yourself back. And it's not like, hey, here you go, good little boy. It's not that at all. It's like you're becoming a man now. You're becoming a woman. And I feel that you have taken enough responsibility that I can give this part of you back, and you will love it, and you will keep it safe, and you will keep it cherished. Magical, right? Absolutely magical. So I hope that you can ground this wisdom that I'm sharing, and if it doesn't make any sense, please pop your question in the comments, and have a beautiful day.